Alright guys, what's going on? Coming back at you with a knife review. We're looking at a fixed blade knife, and this is a knife by Forseti Steel. And Forseti Steel is actually a division of 3V Gear and Hydro Blue, all kind of linked together because these guys are local to me, and they provided this knife for me for review. It's obviously made of Damascus steel, as you can see here. Let me give you some basic specs on it. So this model is called the Sir Edmund, and it's got a little kind of a cool little backstory. So Sir Edmund was a from New Zealand, a famous mountaineer, explorer, and philanthropist. He was so basically this knife is named after him. It's made of pure symbolism for his incredible life. The white bone handle, which is camel bone, represents his undying love for exploration. Peaked at the summit of Everest. The sliver of walnut emerged with the stainless steel handle are in honor of his dedicated service in the New Zealand Air Force. His love for humanity and service represented in this wonderful pattern. So you got your walnut, your camel bone, and like a stainless bolster here. So again, made of Damascus. Now this Damascus is 1095 and 15 and 20. The 1095 is your carbon steel, is going to be your edge, and then it's woven 264 times with the 15 and 20. But what you're going to sharpen and use is going to be 1095, which is a very, very common fixed blade knife, or fixed blade steel. Your blade length on this one is 4.75. Your handle is 4.5 inches. Overall length is 9.25. You can see it's got some nice file work on the spine as well. Very good looking knife. Thickness on the blade is 4 millimeters. Your like I said, that's Damascus with 264 layers and camel bone and walnut handle. It comes with this nice leather sheath, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So I used the heck out of this knife, actually. I took it down to Moab with me, southern Utah, Arches National Park. Did some camping for about 4 days in Goblin Valley State Park and Arches. Used this as my primary knife for fire starting and all kinds of stuff. Does well. Does not have a 90-degree spine, but these intricate file work and the Damascus spine actually work really well for throwing sparks. So it does work well for that. And it's carbon steel, so it's going to be able to throw a spark pretty well. I did put a new edge on this knife because it was a little lacking from the factory as far as sharpness was concerned. So I put it on my work sharp, gave it a convex edge, and kind of gave it a little bit of a polish, and it's a really good cutter now. And I've got some demonstration video that I'll roll in here. So I'm just doing some basic light bushcrafting stuff. But overall, it's a little thick behind the edge than I would like, but I kind of thinned that out a little bit, that sharpening job, and it cuts really well now, and it does pretty well for most general basic bushcraft and utility tasks. So my favorite thing about this knife is the handle. It's super comfortable in hand. Not to mention it's awesome looking with the camel bone. Every knife's gonna look a little different with that camel bone. Got a little bit of walnut here, and then they got that bolster. It's just really good looking. But the ergonomics are fantastic. I was able to handle a ton of these models. They offer quite a few models, and I was able to handle and hand pick one, and this is the one I picked because it just fit my hand so perfectly. You can see here you got this forward choil, and you got a good amount of handle here left. You have a nice little lanyard hole there, pinned together instruction with brass pins, and it's the only other gripe I had was this choil right here. How the knife comes up here, the steel here is it was kind of sharp. All I did is I took that on my work sharp and on one of the lighter grit belts, and I just kind of sanded that down so it's smooth. That could be a little bit better, and I could actually see a really good use of a finger choil here, but there is no option for that. But that gives you a nice guard on your finger, so your hand's not going to slip up. The jimping, excuse me, the file work actually works as jimping. It really helps you stay on that blade really well. So just a gorgeous looking knife. Look at that Damascus. It's really pretty. Knowing that it was 1095, and then I was willing to use and abuse this one because I knew it could take it. And 1095 is a nice, like I said, really highly commonly used fixed blade steel by SE, by Tops, Ontario. I mean, tons of companies. I've had tons of knives in 1095. Actually, really good steel. Let's talk about the sheath a little bit, and then we'll kind of roll in the footage. It's a decent leather sheath. It's actually pretty well stitched, and it's got a nice little belt loop here, and it's got good retention. I mean, the knife does not fall out when you shake it. Giving it pretty good shakes here. It's got good retention. You can mold this a little more if you want to. I didn't find it necessary. I just kind of threw it on my belt and carried it around, and it worked just fine. So it's a nice little leather sheath. It's not like a cheap plastic nylon. So for the money, you're getting a nice Damascus blade. You're getting a nice leather sheath, and you're paying about 135 bucks from their website for a Damascus steel knife, and with the camel bone kind of more being in a more exotic handle material, used commonly like traditional knives. I think that's a pretty good value. Being 1095 Damascus steel, you know, it's been a pretty solid knife for me. So let me go ahead and roll in that footage, and we'll wrap up the video. Feathers now. Just had to clean up that stick a little bit to get it ready to work with. Yeah, I'll get some nice feathers here. So the handle is very comfortable. It fits the hand really nicely. And you think with that camel bone to be slick, but it's actually not. Again, that file work on the top works really good for basically like a jimpy. I'm not using it now. I'm trying to make this feather stick a little bit. You're able to get some decent feathers. Kind of teeny ones, but it'll work. Like I said, not the best wood. Knife did a fine job, and it's very comfortable in the hand. Alright, wouldn't be a knife test without a little batoning, right? Doing this in my backyard. That's about the biggest log that I don't want to baton. This looks pretty dry. It did a pretty good job. It's definitely got a stout enough blade to handle it. So, batoning. Logs that size for firewood, no big deal. And the dog's going to try to steal one of these sticks. That stuff's pretty dry. It's like falling out. Too skinny to get down anymore. Let's try this one. What's going on? Well, full tank construction. It's going through that wood pretty easily. Not that, you know, it's a nice, pretty Damascus knife. You don't necessarily want to use it for this, but if you need to, it'll handle the job. It's going to have a strangely shaped piece there. Sorry about the background noise. I'm taking this blade down to southern Utah with me for a few days down at the Arches and Canyonlands National Park, and I wanted something belt knife that can handle some small chores like this. So I wanted to test this out. It's going to split that again. It's not the knife in any way, it's just the curvature of the wood. It's kind of strange. I'm going to test this out a little bit before I took it down there. See how it performed. Give it a good edge on it. It's doing good. Very comfortable in the hand. Alright, so you can see it did batoning, no problem at all. I don't think I got any footage of the fire starting, but I used this to start fires. Again, by striking a ferro rod on the file work there, you can get it to throw a nice spark. Now this isn't, you know, what you would normally pick a nice Damascus knife with a nice camel bone handle as your go-to fixed blade, but it worked really well. I wanted to put it through the test. They told me to test the heck out of it, and I did. It did just fine. It did just fine. I did some, you know, light carving with it, some good, decent feather sticks with it as well. So overall, a nice little knife. I would definitely recommend it if you like Damascus and you want a nice fixed blade with Damascus steel and a nice comfortable handle. This is the Sir Edmund. I'll put the link in the description below to their website, forsetiknives.com, and you know, you get a pretty solid knife for the money. So I like the Damascus steel. They have all kinds of different options, but again, this one felt, and I was able to handle almost every single one of them, and this one felt the best in hand. It's got super good ergonomics, very comfortable. So overall, it's a nice fixed blade that you could, you know, use as a general utility knife, or you know, as a outdoors knife, like I used it camping, and it did, like I said, held up great. So alright guys, that's going to wrap up the video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.